All right, another week around the trash fire. Your host Matthias, along with the boy.
Sean.
Well, since we did a show late last week, kind of went over a lot of the big news topics there.
Yeah. What was it? Was I think the Heresy Thursday.
Heresy Thursday, all the the leaks we would have talked about last week, but I'm just saying that in terms of Warhammer front news, we're kind of low today,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, they've been cranking stuff out ever since Adepticon.
They have, surprisingly.
So it's only a matter of time when we get to a dry spell in the news cycle for
Right.
Warhammer. But let's kick it off with the good old Sunday preview, shall we?
Yeah.
So of course we got all the Blood Bowl stuff, which I'm just let's skip right over. Don't care too much for this. Get the Getty thing.
The Yeti thing's kind of cool. See, that's what I mean. It's a unique creature, not just a human with a football. I mean, Vikings with footballs aren't that exciting to me, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean I could see this being used in like the do ogres still have Yetis?
Yes, they do.
There you go. Ogre players, you can use these as some good old sculpts because have they ever updated the Yeti model?
No, they have not.
There
They're
you go, Ogre players.
very old skull.
Get your new Yetis here because at least these look a lot better.
Yeah, for real.
And it's not that bad of a conversion to do.
You just kind of remove the football stuff and you're good to go, more or less.
I mean, even you can keep some of that stuff on. Obviously,
Yeah.
like get rid of the helmet on the knee. But other than that, I mean, you can probably see ogres dressing them up a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So there you go. Something positive for Bloodborne from us. That's it's rare. Got that though. We got the new models that they showed off last couple weeks. Books got a um limited edition Beckwin book, Pariah. I don't think I've read this one. I'm trying to remember in the series which ones I've read the first book. I haven't read the second one. I think is this what is Pariah the second?
I don't know. I have not read Beckwin.
It's a real hit or miss. I mean the first book, I wasn't too impressed with. I'll tell you.
Mm,
I'm pulling it up right here. Pariah, I think was the first book. So yeah, okay. So uh, the first book getting a limit or special edition cover, which is cool. But uh, I mean, like I said, I don't think it was the best in the Eisenhorn series. I mean, it was a little bit better than Ravenor, but
only a little better.
only a little better.
Wow.
But it wasn't. It's nowhere near Eisenhorn.
Okay. Yeah, Danonman isn't. I mean, he's really good, but he does have some stuff that isn't widely praised, like Ravenor.
Well, I mean, I know people like There's some people out there who like Ravenor. It's just,
Right, right. But
I
it's not like he's not amazing at everything.
yeah, he's not. He's not. He's someone I would like. I recommend his stuff, but not everything he writes is gold.
Yeah,
I don't really know any writer who writes anything that's gold, but
ADB. But maybe I'm just biased. But I've yet to read an ADB book that was like, yeah, it was all excellent in my experience. And ultimately, that's my opinion on his stuff. That's why I really like his stuff because every time I read something from him, it's always good. I
mhm.
never feel that it was an okay or a waste of my time.
All right. But here we are. Pariah special edition. If you want to go pick it up, get all the nice golden pages. Sigmund, Eternal Crusader, softback
Sigismund.
and digital and audio.
I wonder if it's what's his face, Jonathan Keeble. If it is, I'm definitely gonna pick up the digital. Otherwise, I'll be content with the novel because I actually just finished Seeds of Terra, so looking for
This
new stuff
is this
to
is
look
horse
into.
heresy.
Yeah,
But it's written by John French.
I like this stuff. He's not the best. Actually, another one that's who always has great stuff is Chris Raitt.
I'll have to take a look at him. I just remember I know John French is like the Eldar guy, and it's just
Oh, that's Gav Thorpe.
oh that's got Thorpe. Oh, all right. I got him confused then. Never mind.
Yeah, yeah. John French. He's okay. I've never read his stuff and thought this was terrible, but I've never. He doesn't have a lot of stuff that is amazing, from what I've read.
Hmm.
It's just kind of good, and that's it.
Well, Sigmundson coming soft cover and digital now finally. Trader Rock. Uh, Justin Hill. I'm not familiar with his work, but this is also IG, so I don't care too much for this. But that is coming. What else we got here? And all the Warhammer toys from McFarlane.
Yeah, lots of McFarlane stuff.
Didn't they already showed off all this stuff before, right? It's just like
Yeah, but
a
I think now it's coming out, so
feel like this is
like it's
just a
actually
resale.
coming out.
But there you go. Grab your big toys if you want. And that's it, pretty much. And then Warhammer Plus, getting Lore Master video on Ash Waste.
Yeah, which makes me think that Necromunda is soon because they're doing some lore for it. Here's hoping. Here's hoping.
I would assume next month. I'd assume May.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go ham and say it's gonna be next weekend if this is the case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Going in deep then.
going in deep.
Speaking of Warhammer Plus, did you watch all the Exodite?
I did actually.
I haven't seen it yet, but how would you rate it?
I give it a 7 or 8 out of 10. If you like Tau, it's really good. If you like Eldar, it's actually also really good. If you don't like either of those, it's whatever. It's clearly one of those things where if you're not a fan of those factions, you won't enjoy it. The animation is top notch from what they put out. It's I mean it doesn't hold a candle to Blizzard or actual companies with experience with CGI stuff, but the CG was way better than the average Warhammer Plus thing. It was definitely on the quality of Space Marine or Astartes, excuse me.
Okay, I was gonna say, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um Definitely
Well,
Astartes level.
I'm definitely gonna check it out. Maybe this Wednesday when I go hang out with my group.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
it's short. It's only like half an hour ish.
10 minutes an episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I don't like when they do that. It's might as well just release it as one. But oh well.
I'm sure there'll be an uncut version of it in the near future. But they gotta sell something for it. They're not in the movie making steps yet.
Right.
They need this to be a success. Speaking of Warhammer Plus, when was Warhammer Plus released?
I think June.
Was it June? Okay, so we are getting
We're
finally
getting close
closer to
to
it.
the 1 year.
Because I was like, man, I feel like They should have teased the new models that they're gonna have for Warhammer Plus by now.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe when people's year subscriptions are running out, because now they really got to tease it.
Well, just a month and a half, right? To June.
Yep.
All right. Well, there we go. Well, I'll ask you that question when we get there. But that is it for the Sunday preview. It's whatever. If you're a Blood Bowl fan, it's pretty much just directed to you. But we got some news for good old Dusty Boys and those who are, well, Dusty Boys, because we got some hints or what's going to be in the Nachmund book, and Thousand Suns are in there, which surprised me a little bit because I was like, I thought it was going to be just normal Chaos Space Marines, but here we are. And I must say, it's interesting, but it really hampers the rubrics. Like this focuses on more being a Zangor army, which
Right.
Zangors are not good currently, just because they're overpriced, which is sad. But and they got reduced. They reduced the numbers that you can have for them. So you used to be able to take 30 before ninth edition. Now you can only take a squad of 20. So they also went down like that. But this is more focused on the Zangor aspect. So in order to take this, obviously you need the book. And then restrictions, you can't have demons. So no demon prince, unfortunately. No cultists. And I'm trying to remember the other thing here. No vehicles, which, I mean, barely have any vehicles that are worth taking.
Yeah, it's really interesting in terms of yeah.
But what you get, you also lose Brotherhood of Psychers, so uh, that really only affects like the rubrics because they are the only ones who don't have a built-in invul save.
Hmm.
So what you gain is Zangors and Chaos Mon, which is huge. They get a 5-up invul save, and they also get a 5-up against mortal wounds. And at the start of the battle, they can do a pre-move, which is whatever. It could have its advantages. It could not. It all depends on how you're gonna build this. The full rules for this isn't out, so I don't know how much of it's actually gonna be good, but so far you can do that. Also, there's no restrictions on how many Zangor units you can take because they also got rid of that rule. I forgot what that rule is called. Something slaves, where you had to take for every rubric you had, you could take a cultist and Zangor. You don't need that anymore. You just take all Zangors if you really wanted to. Let's see what else was there. They got a Cabal ritual where they can cast basically a regen spell on themselves. So you can bring back D2D3 D6 Zangors, or if it's a 10 plus, you can 2D3 Zangors or D3 Enlighten, which is nice because I don't believe Cult of Time affects Zangors.
Hmm.
So you can, for this, you can start bringing back good chunk, probably like 40 points worth of Zangors. So it's a good way to keep them up, but overall, it's it's okay. I don't think it'll bring back the Zangors, but there's another option for them now. So especially all you AOS players now. You know, you can, without having to buy too many Marines, you can just bring in all your Zangors.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I don't think it adds too much. I think the only thing that benefits the most out of this is the Chaos Spawn. Getting a 5-up invul save and a 5-up against mortal wounds. So we'll have to wait and see what more rules drop with this, but we'll see. As far as I can tell, I mean, when I used to play the Thousand Suns, they were back like when I said they were pretty much a mid army. You know, they were had a solid launch. They weren't too overpowered. They weren't too broken. They were right there in the middle. They were a good army. And this, we'll have to wait and see. But this right now doesn't really add too much to them, unfortunately. Other than just another play style if you really want to.
Yeah, you don't think that it's gonna be that good?
I mean, well, like I said, just going from what I see here, no, I don't. I don't think it's gonna be that good
Gotcha.
because in the end, you're just a 5+ invul save horde going against, well, let's say Tyranids, Tau, Custodes, Harlequins. I mean, I know those are like the top 4 armies right now, but going against that, going against anything with a lot of shooting, I mean, you're basically playing orcs with just a permanent T-shirt save of a 5+,
Hmm.
and Cabal rituals you can only use once. So per turn you can, or per round you can bring back, if you're lucky, 2d3 models.
Isn't too much.
What do you mean if it's too much?
I'm saying it doesn't seem like too much.
And no, it's not. I mean, you have a base squad of 10. The max you can go up to is 20. So it's all gonna depend on your matchup. I just right now, like I said, I don't see how this is gonna help them out too much. I mean, you could still run like Terminators. Those are good because they still have their 5-up because they're in Terminator armor. Obviously, the sorcerers will still be good, but what you're sacrificing is just the rubrics because they'll just have a 3-up armor save. Obviously,
Right.
a 2-up if they get hit with like damage 1 weapons, but other than that, they're just a 3-up. So you're sacrificing their survivability a
Right.
little bit there. But again, we just need to see. We just need the rest of it to release, which Nachmund probably will go pre-order. I'll say next week.
That could be soon. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're probably just gonna start teasing out everything this week and then next week. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that, on the Thousand Suns. Probably won't have any thoughts on the. I'll probably have thoughts on the Drukari, but we'll see if they drop that anytime soon. Moving on though, one of my favorite things to do, predictions, and we got Harrow Deep, where they just give us this one image of I assume like a skull getting split in half here. Looks
Yeah, that
like
is interesting.
looks like some kind of, I don't know. Would you say lizard man thing? Lizard man shield?
I don't think it's gonna be lizard men because we already had lizard men. It could be. It's really hard to tell.
Oh yeah, no,
It,
they didn't make this one easy.
yeah, it's just kind of telling us that something's happening without indication as to what, really. So,
Well, I mean it's a dragon, so you know what it is. It's Malekith.
oh yeah, oh that would be great if it was Malakath. I doubt it, but that would be amazing.
That would be so sad if he was just relegated to a warband. But yeah, it's hard to say what this is. Obviously, something with scales, and I would either go with Lizardman or something Destruction. Probably something orky. And did an orc warband come out for this game yet? I can't remember. Like this season, was it like the
We had there was those undead guys. The ones before came out the pirates, but so far just the undead guys.
right? Okay, I was thinking if the what was that new orc faction that just came out in the starter set? Killboys,
The Cruel Boys.
Cruel Boys. Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking if they've had an army yet in here. I feel like they have, but I just can't remember. But
Uh
anyways, you want to take a guess?
no, I have no idea.
All right, well, then I'll take a guess, and I'm gonna assume it's something Lizardman related, and I'm
And
just
I'm
gonna
not
go
gonna guess this.
basically on the scales.
I know I'm gonna be wrong because they really have gone all out or out there with this season. So yeah.
I mean, nothing wrong with guessing. I mean, we always get it right anyway, so.
Yeah. Yeah, always. No, I'm gonna go with nothing that matches any faction right now. That's my guess.
All right, so something that's just completely out of left field. Got it.
Yep, I'll go with that.
Okay, that's an acceptable answer, I guess. And then on to New Model Monday here. And here we are. We finally got it. We finally got a vehicle for Necromunda.
We did, which is interesting.
Is it what you thought it would be?
Yes, actually. When they announced this, I pictured something like this when they announced cargo or attacking convoys and stuff. So this is pretty much par for the course in a good way. I do like it, and this could definitely I could definitely see this in other armies, maybe 30K militia or something.
It's a
See
big model.
conversion between sealers or orcs. Yeah, it's a pretty big model.
I'm looking at it next to
Terrain
the
even it's pretty cool terrain.
the what are those things? Not grasshoppers,
Yeah.
but next to those things, damn. I thought this thing was gonna be a little bit smaller, but no, that's a big chunk of plastic. So what, you think this will be this is more like a scenario thing, right?
Um no, I think that it'll have rules for game, but I think it's tied to a scenario for sure. I don't think this is something that you could just build an army out of easily and play with that. I think it's going to be tied to scenario.
That's what I figure. But it's cool. You even got a little track you can carry stuff along. Ashwang guys look nice. It's a very cool model. I like it. It gets my Necromunda hype going. And it just makes me look at my Necromunda in the box right now. I'm like, one day I'll paint you. One day. But other than that, that is pretty much it for the Warhammer side of things. At least from the website. Got any other Warhammer news on your side, or ready to just jump
Um,
to our hobby rants?
Nothing official from Games Workshop, but there's been these series of battle reports and talk recently of if you unnerve some armies, how would they stack against the current OP hotness? So I think there was a battle report between one of the leading 40K players where he pit pre-nerf Drukari against current custodies, and I forgot the result, but it was a really close game. It wasn't a smash as as it would be now for those two factions. So that's kind of interesting, I think.
Well, that's the first I'm hearing of it. And I always wonder about that. You know, when you unnerf some armies to when they were at their, if you put them back at their peak before they got all the nerfs, how they would stack up now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Drukari was still a menace out there,
Yeah.
and I wonder how Admech would fare because they were pretty monstrous too before they got hit
Yeah.
with some nerfs.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wonder what AdMech would how AdMech would fare against the against like Tau or Harlequins. That would be interesting.
It would be, but who knows what they're gonna do? I mean, we are expecting an emergency patch tomorrow, or
Yeah, tomorrow.
yeah, tomorrow, today when this video gets released. But I wonder how much they're gonna change. I assume it's just the top two armies right now, right, that are gonna get hit, which is the Harquins and Custodes
And Tau.
and Tau, right, top three.
Tau might get something. I think Tau are I mean I'm biased, but I feel Tau are a bigger the thing with Tau it's interesting because it's not like Harlequins. Like Harlequins aren't inherently busted in the sense where you could just run any build and dominate with them. I kind of feel that Tau as a card, because they're really good and because they're a shooting faction, that they have that inherent advantage in the shooting game, which is Warhammer. So I do wonder how they'll address that.
Well, it will be interesting to see. I don't know how they will address any of it. Other than either point costs or model restrictions,
Yeah,
because
I do
that's
think
what they seem to be doing.
I
Is
think point costs right now are I think point costs are the worst way to balance things right now or nerf things just because it affects non-casual players. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't talk about this because I forgot, honestly.
mm,
But a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was a month ago now, there was a quotation marks leaked update for the Warhammer game. I don't know if you saw anything about that. It was basically like restricting Tau crisis suits.
oh, that was super fake.
Yeah. I know it was
Yeah,
fake. That's
yeah.
why I didn't talk about it. But you know, those fakes might become real now. Just
Or
because.
yeah, some kind of limit restrictions.
Yeah.
I do think like let's say they limit crisis suits to one or two units. I think that's better for the game than if they increase their points cost.
Well, I think you should do a little bit of both. Don't like jack them up 10 points or something like that. Maybe jack them up like 5 points and then put a unit restriction on them because they're still really powerful. So
They are,
limiting
but
them to like 2 units isn't really gonna help too much there.
I think it will because that's where the openness comes. I think if a unit is strong, that doesn't mean that they need looking at. I just think if they're oppressively strong in the tournament setting, then they should be looked at. Which
Oh,
also goes to
of
the
course.
question of, I don't think these patches really affect the success of the game as a business thing. Um, because if you look at 2000, I believe 21, which was one of the most unbalanced editions of 40K with the Drukari and Admech just dominating everything.
Sure
The,
was.
the the game sold like hotcakes. The sales were sold through the roof for bad armies like Space Marines and Guard and Chaos Space Marines especially. They still sold a lot, you know. So that begs the question: is there really incentive for Games Workshop to nerf things, to control the tournament meta, stuff like that? I don't know. It's food for thought.
I think there is uh points to have it uh affect the tournament meta because that's how you make majority of your money. Well, I'm looking at this through like a little narrow lens here, but I'm gonna assume GW makes a lot of their money because a lot of people like going to the competitive scenes and playing the game.
Um, this
So
this
keeping the competitive people is keeping them happy the best you can. Obviously, you're never gonna get 100% happiness out of this.
so that's a good point of conversation actually, because I think Goon Hammer. So preface: we can't really what's the word? We can't really determine the impact of sales and all that because we don't see the internal numbers. But Goon Hammer, which is one of the premier competitive 40K websites, community websites, they released an article that did a statistical analysis based on they essentially guesstimated how many 40K players play worldwide, looking at
Okay.
sales from third party stores, and they compared that to the data from Best Coast pairings,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something like, see if I can find that article. Sent.
Do you know when it was written?
It's it's something. I want to give the right number, so give me a second here. Let's see. Trying to find the statistic. It was really interesting.
Well, if I could complete my thought,
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
not being able to, because you're never gonna please everyone. That's a terrible business practice to do. Is trying to please everyone because you'll end up pleasing no one. I feel like with how much I can't even say the word publicity that the tournaments give you, I think it really helps out. And I mean, obviously, you got the YouTubers and other guys who help out with that front as well. Because I don't think, again, I don't know, but I don't think the hobby aspect is enough to drive the sales. Because looking at me, I only now just buy like the special characters or HQ choices now because I already got everything I need for my army. I don't need to go out and buy anything unless it's either makes sense to be in my army or it just really gonna help me out competitively wise.
Right.
But I mean that's just how I see it. I think the tournament scene is very crucial for GW just because of how much publicity they get. Even though GW, I mean, they're now getting back into the tournament scene, but even without their presence in the tournament scene, it's helped them out a lot with events like SoCal Open, Adepticon, Las Vegas Open,
Here we go.
everything. You
Here.
found it?
So again, based on the so if you estimate that about 2.4 million people play 40K, and this is based on where they get this. Um,
Do you think you send me a link?
Here, I'll send you a link. Put it on the Discord. Here we go. So if you look at So if you yeah, this is based on stuff like online engagement, like looking at the size of subreddits, the size of competitive subreddits, the size of Warhammer community. Because you could look at Google data with like site traffic on how many people visit Warhammer community a month. I think if you look at some sales figures from independent stores that are available, you could guesstimate around, let's see. So about 2.4 million people play 40K.
Okay.
And of that 2.4 million, 0.6% play tournaments, which is non-existent statistic in the grand scheme of sales of data sales analysis, right?
Yeah.
0.6% of 40K players played in a tournament or
There you go.
played, right. And even I'm looking at like game group, like your game group, you guys, like 4 or 5 of you guys have played in tournaments. I haven't played in a 40K tournament, and none of my gaming group has played one, I think, in at least 10 years. Um,
Well, if I was to be fair,
so
I'd say only two of us in my gaming group actually go out to tournaments. As a group, we
right,
all go do the LVO as
right,
our
right.
big tournament, but yeah, only like two of us really do
So
tournaments.
so I think that statistic, which it's not 100% accurate because this is extrapolation on secondhand data, but it suggests that the competitive scene is a non-existent factor in terms of player base, right? Now, however, so based on that, then Games Workshop really has no incentive to cater to tournament players because if all those tournament players quit, they'd lose 0.6% of their players, which is again non-existent in that grand scheme, right? However, the one thing the tournament scene does have is, I think you mentioned, the publicity of it. That's what people see. People don't talk about casual games. Like Golden Demon's a thing, but Art of War makes probably has more viewers than Miniac or something, those hobby people.
All right.
So there is more, what's it called? There is more publicity there. But from what we could see, and if you just look at, the ITC standings, right? 13 in 2021, around 13,000 people have played in an ITC event. And it's LVO, local tournaments, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it's not a lot.
Well,
That's global, right?
I wouldn't. I mean, obviously you're just going with the data that you got, but I mean, 2021 was a pretty bad year for everyone, right? You got the pandemic still shutting everything down and all that. But
Right, right.
I
But
get what you're saying. It's the tournament scene is not as big as I thought it was. But
but the perception is it is because it's the biggest. The publicity is there. It's the biggest scene cornerstone of the game.
right.
And if something's shockingly broken, then it does affect the casual scene. And I think this is if armies that that are like Crusher Stampede is a good example. Crusher Stampede is OP in the casual sense. It's so strong, it's really hard to beat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um Orc buggies isn't a big issue in the casual scene because orc buggies were a problem when you took like 12 of them, 9 to 12 of them,
And the Daka Jets.
and the Docker Jets, the flyer spam. So, and it goes back is if you nerfed them points wise, then you're catering to your 1% of tournament players and you're screwing over the over 90% casual players who don't have more than 3 buggies, if at all. Like I don't have any buggies, right?
Mm.
But as far as I'm concerned, like I'm not affected by the buggy nerf, which is good for me. But if they got but if they got nerfed in points, then I'm affected, even though I it's not something I that my meta people I play with have an issue with. You know,
All right.
and that's why there's this big conversation in a lot of tournament communities and streams of is are points the way to nerf or to balance the hyper competitive scene, or are you looking because most OP builds are spam, you know, DACA jets, uh, AdMech jets, planes. If you look at keywords like core, right? I mean that's also kind of similar to points because it does affect the casual base. But if you look at Harlequins, the
Void Reaver spam.
Void Reavers, it's Void Reaver spam, you know.
Yeah.
Richard Siegler with his billion crisis suits, right? That's super strong.
Okay. Well,
So
I'm starting to see your point now. I think I mean I never really had a problem with model restrictions. I just think that how GW handles it sometimes is really bad. You know, it's like when the orcs got the hit with the restrictions. Is after like one game, and then they're like, all right, emergency fix, just restricted immediately.
right, right. It's a very reactionary change, which is not good generally because
Like if it
you don't
was
want
in the
reaction
book,
change.
if it was in the book to begin with, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I understand what you're saying now, and you know what, I've come over to your view a little bit. I think point changes are a nice band-aid fix sometimes, but in the end,
I,
restrictions are probably better,
I
especially you know like for the flying spam. No one liked fighting all the Eldar planes with the -3 to hit.
right, right. I think points changes are good as kind of like a half a year to yearly update, like with a chapter approved or something. But I think if you're looking at fixing something that's just shockingly broken, like Harlequins, like stuff like that,
Harklin's Tau,
then
Custodes, yeah.
yeah, then it's better to look at limiting what you can take because then it's not as brutal in terms of affecting the 90% of the player base.
Right. I understand. It's just always a feels bad moment, right?
Right, right,
When you bought all those models and then it's like, yeah, you can't use those anymore.
right.
But
But at the same time, if someone buys 9 Void Weavers, then they're clearly not a casual player.
true, true.
Or there's I mean not all. I'm sure someone really loves Void Weavers out there and isn't playing tournaments, but generally speaking, if the guy in the local shop has buys 9 Void Weavers, it's probably because he wants to play them competitively.
Very accurate. That was a good conversation there.
Yeah. Ooh.
Didn't expect to go down the tournament route there. Usually we have
It,
Travis for
yeah.
that.
It is just interesting because the tournament scene is blowing up in terms of, and you mentioned earlier in terms of the publicity and how it's most people that's what they talk about. We don't talk about the casual or narrative scene because for whatever reason.
Well, I mean, narrative battles have their niche audience. I think 30K does a better job than 40K in that regard.
Even that, like if 30K is going to be getting as much attention as the big two games, it's going to be ITC. And I'm sorry to say, 30K players who listen to this podcast who are anti-tournament, 30K is going to get ITC for sure. You know, so
Well, if it
that
goes down the plastic
because
route,
yeah, exactly. So
I think what'll help it if it actually gets sold on GW stuff on the website and in stores. I think it'll definitely help it a lot more, become more mainstream. But I'll have to wait and see. There's so much down the rabbit hole this year.
yeah,
Well, I know we only talked like 3, 4 days ago, but how's hobbying going for you?
Pretty good. Painting more of my Signar. Actually, I played a big 40K game on Saturday. One of our buddies visited from Montana, so we played a 2v2. He's a Black Templars player, but he didn't bring his stuff, so I lent him my dudes.
Damn, you played out in the
At
heat.
2v2, 2,000 points, two 2,000 point Black Templar armies versus Tau and Eldar.
Ooh, the Taudar.
Yeah, it was Taudar. Classic Taudar. No,
Classic Taudar. You're lucky it wasn't 6th edition.
I know they could buff each other.
But I'm surprised you played out there in the heat.
Oh, I played inside, thankfully.
Oh,
No, not in
I
the
was gonna
heat.
say,
It was
goddamn.
actually going to be at my place, but I don't have indoor gaming space, so we decided to do it at Donnie's place, which was air conditioned. So that was nice.
I see. Oh, lucky you. What did I do? I didn't really do anything. I hobbied. That's all I did.
Hobbying's good.
I got my box. Thankfully, GW didn't send me the wrong package this time.
Yay.
So I got my avatar. I actually just built him yesterday, last night, and I got my Trazen model because I was reading the story, Infinite and Divine.
Nice.
So yeah, I had to get my boy Trazen. Unfortunately, he got a little warped in the delivery, but whatever.
Too hot.
I can fix it. And I I looked at my Necromunda gang and I looked at my Kill Team gang and I was like, what do I want to paint? And I today I just started painting my death marks for my Kill Team, my Necron
Nice.
Kill Team,
Nice.
because they're a lot easier and I know what I want to do with them. But I only got one model painted, so I'll have to wait and see. For this week though, I have no idea what we're gonna do. My gaming group is up in the air right now on what we want to play. But if I had to guess, I would say probably 40K, maybe a board game. It's one of those two.
All right. All right.
But I gotta get my. I want to paint my Necromunda. Now that we are all getting hyped for Necromunda.
Yeah, the new box set is soon. Definitely gonna get even more hype for it.
It's gonna put me in a painting overdrive. I'm gonna actually have to just sit down and get rid of all my distractions. But I don't know. You got anything else you planning this week or?
I'm gonna be out of town for vacation, but not sure about gaming. Probably gonna play more with some War Machine.
Wow, being out of town, vacation.
Oh,
Lucky you, man.
get
Well,
those hours in for vacation that I haven't used the past 3 years.
yeah, definitely use those up. All right then. Well, that's all I've got for this video. You got anything else you want to add before I close out here?
That is pretty much it.
All right then. Well, I'd like to thank everyone who made it to the end. Shorter video, a little bit of a dry spell, but tried to talk it out as much as we could. If you could leave a like, comment, very helpful, and we'll see you all next time.
That everyone.